So Kathleen has and I, we've been working together for about 2 years now, I guess.
Yeah,
It was very funny how we got introduced, or how I
100%.
got
It sure was.
how I actually
It was
got you
your
to give me
marketing
this.
skills.
Well, it wasn't my marketing. It was more of our mutual love for the office, because I emailed you 7 times. You didn't bother to respond. The eighth one, where I didn't talk
Oh,
about anything about RecruiterFlow and only made one joke about assistant to the regional manager, and that's when I got a
yes.
response. There was nothing about work in that email.
Well, when somebody comes at me with some humor, then I'm interested. And I thought it was hysterical. And I was like, okay, let me talk to this guy real quick.
Well, thankfully we did. And hey, by the way, if you've seen our new website, I don't know if you look closely, all the images and all that, all the characters are office characters. If you go to recruiterflow.com.
Oh, no way.
So it's a little bit of a small thing that we've done. Almost every fictional character that is used over there is one of the office characters.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Seriously, the office is you have Michael Scott on there. I love it. Oh, this is wonderful.
It is just the best show ever created. I think me and my wife, we are on the fifth rerun.
I know, I've watched it multiple times, and like Parks and Rec, like anything like work wise and that it's funny, I'm obsessed with.
Me too. So Kathleen, why don't you give us an idea about you and the French agency?
Okay. Well, we are a staffing company. We take care of contract and direct hire. We started out in Arizona and California, and we continue to expand. We really partner with, large, like small, mid, and large size companies that are growing. And as we watch them grow, we get to grow as well because they need so much staffing. So it's really a great blessing. Our team is definitely like The Office. We have hilarious banter. And if you're watching us on social media, you would probably think that we don't get any work done or we're never stressing. But realistically, we cry every day. We're dealing with a very crazy market due to COVID changing the market. And I'm blessed with just a killer team. Everybody's funny, witty, smart. They have a really good talent on building a relationship with their candidates or their clients. And I feel really blessed. I love working with the French agency and I love staffing. It's the best job I've ever had.
Perfect. So for those who don't really know, Kathleen and the French agency, they're hilarious. They're the funniest recruiters that I have seen. And if you have not checked out, do check out their Instagram. I've seen you mostly on Instagram, but I'm sure you're probably on TikTok as well.
That one's a little more inappropriate, but yes, it gets worse on TikTok. Facebook, YouTube, we try to cover it all.
Yeah, and incredibly funny skits about about recruiting. And so how do you plan this, or do you I know that you do recruiting on the side and this is probably the main thing that you do, but do you guys get together, brainstorm on the ideas? What's your process around this?
Okay.
Because you post very regularly and it's almost every time it puts me in splits.
Yeah, so a lot of these videos are done in 1 to 2 days for the month. And we bust them all out and we are like go time. So there is no like, oh, I have a double neck or I look extra chubby or you could tell I'm hungover. There's no redoing. We do it one time unless you really screw up. We just are on the cusp. And it makes it funnier that way because if we act too scripted, I do not like it. And I can't stand when we do the trend ones. I'm like, listen, I'm 40 years old. I don't care about the trend. I just want to be funny. So realistically, all of us at nighttime, we will go through TikTok or Instagram videos and be like, we need to do this, we need to do this, or we all come up with ideas, and we've already been doing it, for the whole week, every single night. And then when we get together, I work with Molly Zahn. She does all of our social media, Zahn Social, and she has a team, and they come in and kind of narrate and tell us, hey, here's where you need to stand, here's what you need to do, and we just go after it. Half of what you see is off the cusp. We made it up right there.
Awesome. Yeah, that takes, I mean, I think you're blessed with a lot of creativity, because I know even if I tried, I could never be half as funny. And most people can't, right? Like, I mean, it's not just me. I'm just a normal guy, right? Like, most people can't.
Oh, I think you're funny.
Oh, well, you're very kind, but
listen, I'm a self-proclaimed comedian. I've missed my calling, I should have been in, movies, but we'll take social media.
Yeah, well, no, it's do you, and that's basically, there is no centralized brainstorming and idea session, and how people come up with scripts. It's just very organic.
It is organic. And when I hear marketing, because we work with people and help hire, including with Molly, I hear all the time, there's so many people that like, cut, like, oh, I need to look skinnier, I need to look like this. Like, nobody cares about that. If you're just funny and yourself, people like, that's who I like. I love, if I am scrolling, if somebody is just like looking like nasty, no makeup done, not caring about a thing in the world, and just coming on to talk and say something funny, that is what I enjoy. Somebody that's real. I don't need, and the girls that are gorgeous and with all the makeup, like, look at this, I did this in 2 seconds. I don't know how to do my makeup. So I don't have that gift. I have the gift of making people laugh, and I love doing that. So brainstorming, we don't even necessarily have to do. It's a group of us that just like, we've seen a couple of videos and we have ideas, or we already experienced something that week or that month from recruiting or our client side, where we're like, let's reenact and do it over again.
Yeah, perfect. And what kind of impact do you see, right? Like, I mean, of course, it's incredibly funny. You probably get a lot of following on TikTok, Insta, all of these places. But how does it impact the French agency, the business?
So we have received a few clients from our social media alone. They thought we were funny and they liked that we were real. So they gave us a shot, and we've built some client relationships from it. I think the biggest impact is how many people that want to work with us. And like, people will just say, following for this video alone, or just like sending us the most amazing emails, or even DMing us, like just the most complimentary stuff you could think of. Of course, we get haters too. I feed off the haters. I love that. But realistically, we just have so many people around these states that want to work with the French agency, and they're keeping in touch with us. And we've already hired one, and we'd love to continue hiring. And I believe we found a few candidates from it as well.
Perfect. Are you still hiring?
Oh, always.
Okay. All right. I'll make sure I put, your website and the job link in the description.
Oh,
below.
yes, please do.
I will. All right. So let's change gears. For those of you who don't know, I think you spent considerable amount of time, a few years at Robert Half.
I was there for about 5 years.
Yeah. First I think you started as a recruiter, went as division director, then you left for some time, then came back, and then you were metro market manager, something like that.
I was over the technology and marketing side. So it was really awesome, because I got a taste of the accounting and office side, including HR, and then I got to grow into technology and marketing. So it was a really great blessing to touch multiple lines of business with Robert Half. Loved working there. I had made great friends and met amazing clients and candidates, and I'll never regret working for Robert Half. The training is impeccable. And when I first started, I was on a team that everybody already owned, every candidate and client. So I had to go hunt all new business, all new candidates. And the thing is, when you work for a large company, they have a sweet system filled with all kinds of companies you can market to and every candidate you could dream of. So trying to hunt new business, that's hard, but it made me like who I am today because of it. So I'm thankful for it. I do think when you work in a big company, you just have a lot of people that have a say, and it would change quite often. So you'd have to keep up with it. And I think, for the most part, I just got to hear what candidates hated about recruiters. And I'm not going to just say it's Robert Half, it's every industry. A lot of candidates hate recruiters because they will have a recruiter that they're talking to and then they blow them off, never hear from them again.
Yeah.
So they just have a bad taste in their mouth, or the client gets upset because they're like, gosh, it's a revolving door over there. I just told them 2 months ago about all of our needs and our benefits, and now I'm repeating myself every couple months when I have another order. So, between the candidate and client side, there's love and hate. If you work for a big company, they have all the money in the world, where they constantly have videos, they have social media, they have, they're on ads, they're on radio ads, they're everywhere. So you hear them blow up. And so that people are automatically going to go to those larger companies over the smaller ones, like, the French agency, for instance. They don't hear about French agency. So we have to do something original to get people to understand who's French agency, what they do, what's going on over there. We have to try to compete with the big dogs, and they are big.
Yeah.
You got to respect their hustle. They know what they're doing over there. So I'm thankful that I worked there. I for sure drank the Kool-Aid. I thought I would be there forever. Unfortunately, I wasn't, but if I wasn't where I came from, I wouldn't have been able to be successful where I'm at today. When I came into Robert Half originally, I actually was looking for an accounting position.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, they were like, you don't have an accounting personality. You need to be a recruiter. And I was like, no, I love accounting. And now I don't even want to do my own accounting.
You're the only person I have ever heard say, I love accounting. Like
I love reconciling every time the numbers matched up. I was like, whoa, I loved it. But I went there and I'm so thankful. Mark, who I went to meet up with, talked to me into interviewing. I loved my team. Now accounting and finance is split up. You got your higher end accounting and then your lower end. So I started out on the lower end of accounting, like your receivables, payables, accounting clerk, staff accountant, if you will. So I had a wonderful manager, Frankie. She was so awesome. And, the biggest stint was Frankie, Joey, and myself. We had a great team. And when Frankie left, then it was just Joey and I, we crushed it. So we worked really hard, and we always wanted to try and outperform the higher level accounting sales. So there were some other people that came in along the way, but when we hit that 1.2 million mark, it was a success, and I was really thankful. We worked very hard to continue with 100K in billing every single month.
Very interesting. So in terms of, Robert Half's scale, right? Like, and Robert, so you've seen French agency, you started French agency and you've taken it to a certain scale, and you worked at one of the largest staffing firms in the world, right? And what makes Robert Half so different? What makes Robert Half, right? Like they are a mean machine. And I'm sure there is something that they're doing differently that others just can't. So in your opinion, what exactly is that?
I believe they've been around so long. They're a very well-established name. And not only are they just in the States, they're international. So everybody knows Robert Half, or at least has dealt with them in some aspect at some point in their career, at least a majority. With that being said, if you think about how many years that they've been around accumulating company businesses, client information, candidate information, and that's all in one software. I mean, the sky's the limit there. That is one thing that is just insane, and they have money to back it up. So they are very powerful, and they can compete with anybody because they have last I checked, they're over a $5 billion company. They crush it. And the fact that they can continue to constantly display ads and have people calling in because they heard an ad. It's incredible. So I would say that they've been around one of the longest, and the money that they have, they're powerful, and they have so much data that helps any recruiter work for them.
Very interesting. And how did your team structure look like over there, right? Like, I'm sure they're structured a little bit differently than, a company size of the French agency.
What they do is they separate lines of business. So they are focused on, if you want office, if you need somebody in the office, like administrative, receptionist, anything like that, data entry, that you would have somebody to go to on the direct hire side and the contract hire side. Same with finance and accounting. Same with IT infrastructure and technology. Those are separate. So every single time a client is calling in, they would be speaking to a different recruiter in each line of business that they have.
Yeah, very interesting. And what was the hierarchy, right? Like, I'm sure, like, so let's say you're dealing with a large customer, maybe like, let's say Coca-Cola, right? Like one of the biggest firms, they would be using a company like Robert Half to hire across different functions. Who would probably, so let's say you are working in Arizona, Robert Half, and you're dealing with Arizona Coca-Cola. Who would actually own that account, and how does the incentive and all that structure work?
There would be somebody higher up to come in to set up the fees, and nobody on the Arizona ground would really be touching that. Maybe if it was a metro or a regional manager, or somebody that specializes in the larger corporations to get in there and structure the pricing. It's a standard where you're pretty much on a draw and you're 100% commission as a recruiter. So for incentives, you're getting commission. So every position you're closed, that's, you get like maybe a quarter of that in your pocket, let's say. So you want to close as many deals as possible, so you're actually making good money.
Oh, so it's a quarter of it. And this is no fixed.
It's not fixed, and the more you bill, the more you can get a higher percentage.
Okay. No, but there is no base pay. It's just all incentives.
There is. So for instance, say you're getting paid 50 grand a year, and let's just say, for sake of this conversation, that's 4K a month, and you build 20K a month, and you get 10,000 of it. Well, then you have to pay that 4 grand back, so you really get 6K.
Okay.
So it's a draw. It's 100% commission, but at least if you had a bad month or two, you still get a paycheck.
Base. Yeah. Okay.
You just still have to pay it back out of your commission when commission time comes.
Makes sense. Great. So now you left Robert Half. You were doing fantastic over there. Like, what makes French agency so different?
I think it's just because I already have the experience, and I know how to, I'm a salesperson. I can get along with anybody. It doesn't matter what kind of personality you have, what kind of position you have. I get along with everybody, and I'm very trustworthy. So I have companies that trust that I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm very transparent. So I really do feel that the biggest key is the relationship building. And I will always go outside of my comfort zone for my clients if they need me to. The other thing is, we have line of business for recruiters. One thing at Robert Half, I have to say, is that I was the queen of getting what was called off matrix, where I would get a staff accountant role, but they would need somebody in technology and a supply chain, and they'd need an admin, and they didn't want to work with 5 different recruiters. They wanted to work with just me, and they didn't care what the rules were. And I'd be like, I'm sorry, this is how it is. I'm stuck with that. I don't want to do that anymore to clients. We work with some really big companies that they don't have time. They want to talk to one person, and we build a team around each company and whatever their hiring needs are. And we split it up amongst our recruiters that have that experience, rather than our clients having to talk to multiple different recruiters because they have 5 different orders. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So for them, they don't have to kind of repeat. So, they don't have to repeat themselves again and again. And you also have a set of people who understand that client, that their culture, their recruiting
Yes.
process, their managers really, really well, so that, they can probably please people faster over there.
Yeah, and then we don't have high turnover. So you don't have to constantly, oh, I got to talk to another recruiter and tell them the same thing. Like once we have your company down and we always need the constructive criticism, we've got the team. So we basically have a few people copied with the client. So we take care of all the coordinating. We deal with any of the scheduling, everything on the calendar. We do all the research. If we sent the wrong candidate, tell us why, so we can make it better. And we really listen. And then we're sending the best candidates that they're looking for. And you don't have to worry that I'm going to leave and you're going to have to talk to a new sales recruiter in 3 months. We're sticking around. So I think the high turnover really helps as well.
Sure. Okay.
Oh, the fact that we don't have high turnover.
Yeah, makes sense. So low churn definitely helps that. No, that's absolutely right. And in software companies, we see that on the customer success side all the time, right? Like it takes time to build understanding of your customers, and it's difficult to transfer that knowledge, that information from one person to another. So the lower the churn, the better you're able to understand that customer better, right? So, I know that. Absolutely. So how long did you start French? It's been what, 4, 5 years, something like that?
We had our 3rd anniversary in April. So we're going on 4 years.
Ah, wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, and how has that growth been, right? Like what was the first year like, and then the COVID, and then, how has the journey been so far?
So the first year I was so scared. I was like, who's going to want to work with me? And it costs a lot of money to run a business. I think a lot of people go in running a business and not realizing how many costs there are. We did pretty well for the first year. The second year during COVID, we doubled. And I was surprised because I was like, okay, we're probably going to be stagnant. Hopefully we just reach the same numbers as last year, but we doubled. Then we doubled last year. And now for this year, we've already beat last year's numbers. Like right
Fantastic.
now we're 700,000 over what we did last year. And
wow.
We're starting the 4th quarter. We're killing it. We are very, very blessed.
Very interesting. And how has so how does there is obvious relationship between your revenue growth and your team growth, right? So how does the the team structure and the incentive structure and all that work at French agency?
So I pay salaries at the beginning. Okay, here's the one thing that I've done the entire time. I try something for a little while. If it doesn't work, hello, I'm changing it. So I will tell you, my very first salaried person was last year, Stacy. I love her to death. Well, first of all, I had so many people applying, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm from the Bay Area and I'm from Campbell, and she had a 408 area code. She had a Campbell address. I immediately talked to her and we clicked. Like, I know how you are from the Bay Area. If you're from the Bay, you know how to hustle, and you literally, you won't even sleep at night if your work isn't done. So it was like, I just still remember looking at her resume and seeing her cute little face, and I couldn't wait to talk to her. So she took a risk because she worked for a recruitment agency that's also large that was paying her plus commission. And I am very honest about, hey, this is a startup. I'm scared. You're the first person I'm going to be paying a salary. I was very honest from the get-go, and we both took a risk. And since then we have, I think, a dozen people on salary right now, and we're still growing and still hiring. So I'm paying salaries. That's not normal, that in the agency life, you really are on commission based. But this has worked out really well. And I also am like, hey, if you are not a hustler and if you want to chill like 8 to 5 job, don't work for me. And I don't want to have to let you go because of it. Just, I'm telling you and giving you a heads up, I need hustlers, because the harder we work now, it's going to pave the way for later. And I think relationship building is so important. So I really work on, I won't hire somebody shady. If somebody's shady, you're out. I do not have the patience. I dealt with that in the corporate world. I will not deal with that here at all. And I think just doing things that show my team that I appreciate them it's just, I don't know, they're amazing. They work so hard. And I think the other thing is, Stacy does a really good job coordinating with all of our clients. Luna is my assistant who runs my entire life. I don't know what I would do without her. And then we have Danielle, who manages all of the employees and does all the training. And we have a great, funny bunch of misfits that work together, but we're all hustlers and we truly care about our candidate and client success.
Sure. And you are all working remotely, or at least part of the team is working remotely. Is that correct?
Yeah, we all work remote.
Oh, pretty much the same for us.
Yeah.
And we've been thankfully, we've been able to, solve some of these problems of coordination, of collaboration as we grow.
Yeah.
And most importantly, of knowledge transfer, right? So our team size is doubling every year. So that means that there are so many new people joining every month, and we've now put a lot of documentation and processes in place that whenever somebody new joins in this particular team, this is what we are going to do. And almost everybody, whether you are in engineering, marketing, whatever team you are in, almost everybody goes on, at least 2 to 3 demos so that they get. So that was one of the first things that we make everybody do when they join RecruiterFlow, right? Because we basically, one thing that we figured out is, to be really, really successful in a remote environment like this, you really need to have high empathy for customers. And so the first thing that we do is just, you don't know anything about the world of recruiting. You're, you've always done engineering, but it doesn't really matter. Go sit on a few demos with our sales team and understand how that person thinks, right? So, and understand how critical it is, what you are building, how critical it is for them. So, you better put everything that you have into making this, right? And we found this to be very helpful in terms of accelerating people's understanding of the business, and actually build empathy for customers, right? That was the biggest problem that I thought we will have once we go all remote, right? So yeah, and after once you solve some of those things, nobody wants to spend time.
The cost of the overhead to have an office, it just doesn't make sense to me, because during the candidate market right now, we haven't raised our prices at all. And I don't want to. That was something I learned in the corporate life, is that somebody would be at a 20% markup and the market would change. And now we have to get them to try to be within 30, 35 or as close to it as possible. And they're like, I've been working with you for how long? I'm not, no, we're not changing rates. And they're frustrated. And we're like, sorry, somebody from up above told us we have to, there's nothing we could do about it. Like, I don't want to play that game. Yeah. So as much as we are spending on every single job board site, and they're insanely expensive, I just don't want to do that to our clients. So having an office and unnecessary overhead, we're good. Yeah. Unless somebody really wants it. If they really want it, then we will totally do it for them.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. I'd rather work in my jammies.
Yeah,
I'm just being honest.
I know.
I love it. And yes, I put makeup on today, but typically, no, my hair is pulled back. And I'm just like, I don't care.
I've seen your Instagram reels. So yeah.
See, even on Instagram, I don't wear makeup all the time. I don't care.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I do the same, right? Like, and not having to commute in a city like Bangalore, it it has had the highest impact on my productivity other than anything else that I could have ever done, right? So
100%.
yeah.
And then, the thing is, when you have everything at home, something comes up at 7 o'clock at night or whenever it is, I'm going to go get that done. And
Yeah.
all of us do it. We're like, it doesn't matter what time it is at night. If there's something to get done, we have our whole setup at home. It makes it easier. Plus, we don't have to pay those high gas prices that we have right now.
Well, they're insane over here as well. I don't know what it looks like
Are
in,
they?
yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And I think, and because we import all of our oil in India, I think that there is some correlation between, $1 increase in gas price and increase in unemployment in India. So there is this, like, for every dollar that oil price increases, a few thousand people lose their jobs in this country. So it's yeah, no, it's terrible. But it's been pretty crazy, right? Like I've had a kind of a ringside view of French agency and its growth. What do next 3, 4, 5 years look like to you?
So I really want to get to the double millions. Realistically, I want to be a $50 million company. Right now, I am hustling on the back end to make sure that we have everything that we need, benefits, RecruiterFlow, making sure, like, if we need something, like, I got to tell you about RecruiterFlow. When I asked you that I needed a job board a certain way, and I was telling the person I referred to you last night, we don't need to say his name, but I was like, listen, I told him, Manan, I need a job board. And when you guys did that, I was like, this is a no-brainer being with anybody else. Being able to talk to a founder and somebody that actually is listening to what the recruiters need, like, that is very important to me. So right now on our back end, just as I'm sure as you're doing at RecruiterFlow, I'm just making sure that we have everything lined up to continue to expand, because we have pretty much been doubling year over year over year, and we are in our 4th year, and we're definitely doing really well, and I want to keep it that way. And I love being able to provide people jobs that they love. My team has thanked me so many times, and even our candidates thank us because we're the recruiters that actually care. We continue to check up on them. So I just feel like this is a calling for me. So in 4 to 5 years, even if I was at 20 million, which I know we will be at, I'm excited. But I really, the big goal, and I believe I even have it on my vision board right here. Does it say 50 million? Okay, this says grossing over 30 million. I'm gonna have to change my vision board. So I have a little vision board that sits right here. Everything that I want. Oh yeah. And we put it, like, we would do it in a board. My husband and I do this. So we stare at it every day. You got my little son, Jackson, which is his 18th birthday. I have an 18-year-old today.
Wow.
I can't believe it. Yeah. So I gotta hustle for my son. I want to show him what it's like to be a boss. So in 4 to 5 years, I promise I will be in the double millions.
Wow. Well, that's fantastic. Now, I mean, I don't. I'm going to, as soon as we are done with this recording, I'm going to go and search what a vision board is. I don't really know what that is, but it looked awesome. No, I don't
Okay,
know
so first of all, it's just this is what I actually did before I got to Robert Half. Have you ever, I don't know if you've heard of the story about Jim Carrey. This is for example, he didn't have a vision board. He wrote his first check to himself for $10 million. And he kept that in his wallet, which I believe he still carries today. And this is when he was just on the cusp, like, he would just be making appearances. He was a nobody. He was doing stand-up. And that year he was like, I'm going to get a $10 million movie. I'm going to get it. And I have goosebumps. That year, over Thanksgiving weekend, I believe, he got a call for Dumb and Dumber. $10 million. So I believe in God, and I'm so thankful, and I feel like he speaks to me through certain ways. And the vision board, however you want to do it, you could take newspaper clippings or magazine clippings and tape it. This is a fancier way because my husband is like this and he's in technology, so he puts it together. And what it is you looking at something that you want every single day, and you're already thankful for that. I'm already thankful that I have a $50 million company. I'm thankful for my amazing team. I'm thankful for the people around me. I'm thankful for the blessings God gives me. And I want to be able to continue to give. So the more I make, the more I'm going to be able to give, volunteer, help somebody that's in need. And that's just the direction my family is trying to go. So a vision board is where I also made my first 6 figures. And I was the first at Robert Half on that team to make 6 figures. 60 to 70K as a single mom, barely making it, was not going to work for me. So when I didn't have my kid and Jackson was with his dad, I worked until 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, leave the office and be back by 7, 8 o'clock the next morning, do it all over again.
Wow. That's hustle, right?
The vision board works, honey.
I'll have to get one. I'll have to get one.
Yes.
We've got so many things that, we call it the bucket list. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like a bucket list, but it's much more visual.
It is, so that way you see it every day.
Yeah.
You could put sticky notes in your bathroom mirror saying, I'm thankful for this, and I have this. I can't believe I've, whatever it is. Maybe you want a yacht or a bunch of zeros in your bank account. Whatever it is, you could put. It's basically looking at your bucket list, but seeing it every day. If that makes sense.
That absolutely makes sense. I have this little, organizational quip where there are just so many things that distract me all day long, right? Like, and
I know
there is always something that is supposed to take majority of my mental bandwidth. So I have a whiteboard, and I just write one thing over there that stays in front of me and says, okay, so wherever I'm getting distracted with 100 fires that are out there every day, I just look at that one thing. Am I spending at least 1/4 of my time solving this problem? Yes, no. If the answer is yes, well and good. If it's no, something needs to change, right? And that's something because otherwise there is just no end to what I've found is that visual feedback of making sure that, hey, am I doing this one thing at every point of time? There's one thing as a CEO I need to be focused on, and which should take 20-25% off everything that I have, and everything else is putting out fires and all the other things, right? So
I totally understand that.
And I keep that right in front of my eyes, because if it's not there, I know I won't do it. So
that's kind of like your vision board then.
Yeah.
You're getting it done.
Yeah, exactly. So no, visual feedback is awesome, and I love something that I've learned very late in life. But so I want to change gears a little bit. I know we don't really have a lot of time, but one thing that I like to ask everybody is, if there was one thing that you would recommend all the listeners, all the viewers, in terms of a book or a podcast, anything, right, like that they should follow, what would that be?
Okay. Well, I got a couple. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Joe Rogan is definitely one of my favorite, although I was disappointed with the Mark Zuckerberg one. I was like, who cares if Mark is into MMA? Nobody. There's so many more things that we need to talk about with Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook. Okay. Hello. Yeah. So I'm disappointed in that, but I think Joe Rogan's a great podcast, and I love self-help books. There's a Minute Maid Manager, and the Dream Manager book. And I love those books. I just love any book that really talks to you about being open-minded and open heart. I think in the Dream Manager, the CEO was very closed-minded, and then started learning about, one of the janitors, the cleaners there, and changed that person's life. And it's really taught me to treat my team as I would want to be treated, and show them when I'm so thankful for them, and say a little thing, or maybe send them something. And I do love the dream manager, just because it opened up somebody's eyes on how to treat their employees and to change their whole business. And when it was once on the brinks of maybe on the cusp of closing, to being a very successful business, because he turned around how he treated his employees. And I think, there are a lot of companies that treat their employees amazingly, but there are so many more that do not appreciate people getting up out of bed and working for you to make money for you, and do endless projects and then not be thanked or not feel appreciated. So I love the books that kind of open up your eyes and make you think about things that you might not think about in your day-to-day life.
Perfect. What's the name again?
The Dream Manager.
The Dream Manager. Do you remember the
Yeah.
author?
Oh, I think I can pull it up real quick. I had to put something down because it's the whole time it's been screaming at me. The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly. It's a really good book.
Yeah, well, I'll make note of that. I'll also probably put a Amazon link to that book. Well, Kathleen, thank you so much. You've been fantastic and a joy to talk to.